And good afternoon, everyone. We are continuing our exciting online study day about internationalization. And this session is going to be given generously by Professor Rhonda Sofer. She will talk about all kinds of tips for developing international projects. And Rhonda Sofer is a very special person for me, and maybe also for many of you guys. I already recognize your faces and some of the institutions that you represent. Rhonda Sofer ran the international office at Gordon College of Education for many, many years, really, really successful. And I think she made really a small college in Haifa, teacher training college, really, really big, like just like Costas talked about making a small university, small college, really big and internationally viewed and recognized. So I truly believe that Rhonda has made a tremendous effort accomplishing this. So she really knows her stuff, and she will be sharing some tips with us on how to develop and sustain international projects and make them a big success. Thank you so much, Rhonda, and the floor is yours.
Okay, everybody sees the screen. I just shared it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
This is also sort of like a personal journey because around 12 years ago, 13 years ago, Gordon wasn't doing much in internationalization. And all of a sudden, we had an opportunity, an invitation to go to the Council of Higher Education. They were having a workshop on Tempest programs. I couldn't go. I sent a colleague, and he says, but what do I say? He said, this multicultural education, diversity training, children's rights, and see if anybody's interested in joining us in a project like that. And sure enough, he came back and said, you wouldn't believe how many people were excited about this. And there were some pretty respectable universities, the Reichman University, which used to be called the Interdisciplinary College of Herzliya, Ben Gurion University. And I realized that we have a topic that could pull in people. And we succeeded in writing Tempest project, and with the country of Georgia, and that was our first experience. This little college on the mountains of the Carmel was coordinating a major Tempest program with 21 institutions in 7 countries. But as I tell my key stakeholders, it's not only getting the project, it's doing it on a very high level, because that's our reputation. And I think one of the things that I'm very proud of is the way that we have done our projects and in a very high qualitative level. So today I'm going to share the tips that I have for developing and implementing successful international projects. And because right now we're in an Erasmus program called Impact, and this deals with peace and collaboration. I feel that this is one of our dissemination events, so I have their logo proudly on my first slide. Now,
can you please open the chat, Max?
Yelena, can you open the chat? I don't know how to open the chat.
Yes,
Yelena
yes.
still
Yes, it's done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so these tips are based on my experiences of designing, writing, and coordinating 2 successful EU capacity building programs. Also in designing and writing 2 United Nations programs, one for UNICEF, one for the World Bank. And you should know, I was looking at the firsts for his college that Costas was presenting. This is the first in the country of Israel that any sort of academic institution of higher education were selected by UNICEF to be for a project in education. And the same thing with the World Bank. And we were, this little college on the beautiful mountains of the Carmel were consultants to the government of Georgia and the government of Armenia, helping them with 2 aspects of education that we are experts in. We also have the experience of being partners in other capacity building programs. And this has provided me with a perception of the different ways of doing it, different ways of designing a program, different ways of managing a program. So what I'm sharing with you is what worked for me. but there's other ways and other strategies. I don't like them all, but if they work, fine. But when I look at these programs, I look at them as an opportunity, not only to bring money to your institution, but to develop a network of academics who believe in a certain issue and are willing to work together to promote it. So these are the two projects I coordinated. Do It united 21 institutions in 7 countries, Cured united 17 institutions in 6 countries. And I, with the World Bank project, it was since we were consultants, we had 3 institutions, 2 in Armenia, and Gordon, and 21 experts. And for UNICEF in Georgia, we had 2 institutions and around 25 experts. So what I'm saying is based on my experience. There's also theory here. In other words, there are theoretical researches and research that that sort of you know, I'm a doer, so I do it, and then I sort of find, hey, there's theory that sort of says what I'm doing is right. But I can't ignore the theory, and I will throw a little bit of theory at you, but that's not what I'm concerned with. I'm an applied anthropologist. I believe in doing things, not just understanding the theoretical basis. Theoretically, it's really understandable that having an international project is challenging. Communication, as Costas mentioned, you have people that not only language, but different ways of interpreting the aims and the goals. You have to design the work plan, being culturally sensitive. You also have to understand that not everybody's institution is the same, and it might have different limitations structurally and technology and digitality in the language of English. Often, as we know today, and also yesterday, political economic realities can affect your programs. And I think Costas is meeting that with a Project Impact. We have the connection of Israel and Morocco, and there's lots of challenges that have come up recently. And another challenge is that sometimes people are very, very enthusiastic in the beginning, but how do you maintain the commitment over the period of 3 years if you're dealing with your Erasmus program? Now, in terms of theory, and I like this, so I put this in. Research has actually shown that when you have a project that's based on some sort of moral principle and values, and if these are shared by others, the long-term sustainability of the project is more likely to happen. So the projects that I personally have designed were always promoting important values, whether it's children's rights, multiculturalism, diversity, civic education, democracy, access. Other projects that I've joined, access to higher education of peripheral populations, virtual exchange of countries that usually don't have exchanges. All these things have a moral purpose and shared vision, and are therefore more likely to be sustainable. Research going back 20 years, 10 years have shown that. Now, since I'm one for doing, there's a practical, I mean, you can have a great idea for a project, and I've been approached because a lot of people come to me and say, Rhonda, I have an idea for a project. Can this be an Erasmus program? And, and so if you want to develop ceramics, you can say, well, for an international program, what are you tying it into? You have to be able to relate to the priorities of the grant giver. In other words, you can have a great topic, but if it's not what the grant giver is looking for, then it's not realistic. So the whole idea of defining a project and making sure that it's compatible with what the grant giver is giving is really important. The second thing is that this is unlike research. When you're working on international projects, it's not like a personal property. It belongs to your institution. So you have to make sure that the project that you're doing is relevant to your institution. I have a college of education. For me to do a project that deals with astrophysics, it just doesn't work. We're always looking at new projects, and one actually might decide not to do because it's not really our heart and soul. So the topic must be relevant to your institution, and you need support. Since it's for this institution and not yourself, you must have support from the key stakeholders. And so you have to be able to convince them why this project contributes, and you have to communicate with them. Also, you need a team from within your institution. A project shouldn't be a one-man job. It should be, you should have a team that works with you, that can step up if you're not available. So you should be looking for people within your institution that can be partners, that can help you, can support you. Also, if we're talking about a project that's going to be funded, if you're already doing it, why do you need support from another grant institution? So if you're thinking of a project, you should think of a project that will make a difference. We'll say, okay, after this project is completed, my institution will be different. There'll be something like new that's happening because of this project. But if you're only sort of looking to get the money to do something that you're doing, well, that's okay. But in terms of the spirit, and I believe the morality of going after grant money, it's to make it, you should improve, you should be doing something better. And it shouldn't just be the time that you get the money. Change and the project should be sustainable. In other words, should occur, the effect of the project should be felt after the life of the project. So all these sort of things you need to think about when you're envisioning a project. Now, you can have the, oops, go back. My fingers move too quickly. Designing a great program is not enough. And another step is, how do you engage members of your organization in the consortium who without their support, the program will not be successful? So, everybody's busy in academia, teaching colleges, they're pedagogical advisors, they're expected to do research. I mean, who has time to do extras? And often these international projects are considered extras. And this is why the key stakeholder of the institution needs to be involved, because he needs to give the message, this is not extra, this is part of your job as a member of our institution, is to be engaged in international programs. So the two questions that follow: if you have to engage members of your institution, who do you engage and how do we engage them? And first of all, you have to engage the key stakeholders. That's, you should be talking to them, you should have meetings with them, you say, what are you thinking of? You should ask their opinion. Who do you think should be in the project? You need to get them engaged in what you're doing and be your in a way, your marketer, your person that gives you support. In one of my in two of my programs, actually, I did a sneaky thing. For the first consortium meeting, I made sure that the key stakeholders, the presidents or rectors, were invited to participate in the first consortium meeting. And then I had a special program that they participated in when they came to, well, the first one was Tbilisi. Actually, the first two ones were in Tbilisi for my projects. So it's really important to get them engaged. And once they're engaged, once they went to Tbilisi, once they had my program, anything else I needed for the next 2.5 years, I had the commitment. So it's a really good strategy to get them excited, get them engaged, make them feel that they're part of the program. And your colleagues, this shouldn't be a one-man show. This belongs to your institution. They have to feel that, hey, I have something to benefit by participating in this program. This is, we need them for the development of the program. We need them for doing the trainings, for enrichment workshops, for project implementation. And, without them, we can't really have a successful program. And if you can engage students, that's wonderful. In all of my programs that I coordinated, I had student activities. So I worked with student unions, and it was so rewarding when you have students engaged in an international project. I remember for the first project, one student that went to Tbilisi for our kickoff meeting, he was in the airplane. He says, Rhonda, this is the first time I'm flying. In other words, this is the first time that this 21-year-old student who was after the Army had gone out of the country. And it just opened his whole vision of who he was and what it was like to meet other students and to participate in a program that they felt had a lot of meaning. And I'll show you one of the results if we have time. Okay, so you have, let's say, you have a topic, it's approved by your key stakeholders, you have an internal team, you have to build a consortium, you have to build a network of people from other countries and other institutions who want to work with you. So, and this is like marketing. And you have to make sure that when you go, that to choose the right institutions. And you have to make sure that the priority or the goal of your project is relevant to the other country that you're turning to. If you're doing an Erasmus program and making it a multinational project, multi-regional project, you have your priority for Israel or our region. You have to make sure that the other priority, that this priority is relevant. And then again, I believe in enabling your team provide important feedback and fine tuning to the concept note that you have written. In other words, you mark it through a concept note. You write the concept of what you want to do. And this is like your calling card. Shouldn't be more than a page. Because you don't want to give too much information, but you just want to give enough so people, it's like fishing. You want to put the right bait on, and you want to throw it into the water, and you want to make sure that you catch the fish, but you don't want to put too much bait in because then it will fall off and not very effective. You have to put the right amount of bait with the right amount of texture, and you throw in your rod, and you probably end up feeding the fish anyways, but if you're lucky, you get to catch a few. So it's really important to realize that when you're working with an international team, to let their voices be heard, let them provide feedback. And I actually did this with creating in Moodle, a working station for the application. And I put each section of the application that I was working on there, and everybody that was committed to do the project had access to each section and could provide feedback. And then, there was a certain date. If you don't provide feedback on this section until this date, that means you accept it. In other words, it was transparent, it was visible, they could see it. And if they wanted to make feedback, they could. Somebody from Gordon College, when I set this up, said, "Rhonda, aren't you afraid somebody might steal your ideas?" I said, first of all, if somebody wants to steal the idea, it means it's a good idea. You don't want to steal a bad idea. I said, and if they think they can do it better than us, then we don't deserve it. I think that this idea, no one can do it as good as us, and the competition doesn't scare me, and we want our partners to feel that they're a part of it, that we're not hiding anything, that it's there for them to see. So I'm one for being flexible, to let the voices of your partners hear what you're working on, and then it belongs to them. In other words, it's really important that the project isn't the private property of Rhonda, the private property of Gordon. It belongs to the consortium. Now, really, the most important thing is to choose your partners if they can contribute, if they're relevant. It's always best to use trusted partners, but you can add new ones through recommendations. And you have to be very careful that sometimes you can sort of sense that this partner is going to give you trouble. And this is the time to make sure you don't get them in. In other words, it's a time for like feeling out. And if somebody starts saying, well, how much budget am I going to get? And how many days of work is this? It sort of shows that their commitment is not really to the idea, but that they're really maybe concerned about having another checklist for their own personal advantage. And it sort of waves red flags. And I just had a recent experience a few months ago of somebody starting to ask a lot of these questions, and then, decided that he would withdraw from the program. And I was very relieved that I didn't have to go further. But you want to have a partnership that's built on trust, that you see there's teamwork, that people are working together, that realize that this collaboration is a win-win, and that by working together, we can always have the best program. Now, how do you get people to work together? First of all, I don't believe that any one of the working packages should belong to one institution. You have a leader, but each working package should be made up of different institutions, members from different institutions. And it's really important to delegate leadership roles among the different institutions and countries. So everybody feels that they're part of it. And you should be inclusive so that members buy into the program. And if you do this right, you develop an amazing culture of collaboration. And I see some of the people that have worked with me in my programs are here, and I'm sure that they could validate how they felt working in our programs. And again, the flexibility when you're designing a program and even running it, you know, things change and you have to be flexible. So you have to be open to hear the voice of the people in your consortium. So the trick to transparency, and again, I've been in projects that have been very non-transparent, you know, and they've been awful. But in my transparent means good continued communication that's visible to all. And you can do this in many ways. Costas is an expert. He has a WhatsApp group. He can send messages through that. You can have, when we were working on applications for my projects, we usually met once a week virtually, while if not for everybody writing, for people to let the people know what we've done, and they could see it in a Google Drive in the program, and then give their impact or delegate tasks, who's writing what. In other words, the weekly meetings brought everybody up to date where we are in the application process, or we won't have weekly meetings during the project, but the virtual meetings brings everybody up to date with what's happening, and that's important. It's part of transparency, good communication. You need a common working area, Google Docs, Microsoft Teams, doesn't matter what platform. What matters is everybody knows how to use it and access it. And again, enabling all voices to be heard. I don't want to downplay the importance of good leadership. One cannot have a successful project without developing engaged leadership. And leaders who are committed to the concept know and empowers others to lead. It's really important that a good leader isn't threatened by excellence in others. I'm really thrilled when somebody comes up with a better idea than I have. I say, run with it. In other words, the whole idea, every decision that should be made should be for the good of the project. Not for the good of Rhonda, not for the good of Gordon College, for the good of the project. Because then do you know what happens? The project is an excellent project. And then Gordon College gets recognition, Rhonda gets recognition, which I never look for, but you know, it happens anyways. But if you make every decision on what is best for the project and not what's best for personal interests, then the project becomes an awesome project. You know, a good leader works harder than anybody else. They don't have to tell people to work. The people that are in the consortium see how they're working, and they are a model for dedication, for commitment, for working more than the exact hours than they're getting paid for. So by providing the model of a hard worker, of a good leader, of delegating tasks, of communication, accessibility, you know, great things can happen. As an anthropologist, again, I'm trying to move this, this little thing that gets in the way all the time. Okay. One of the good practices, I'm an anthropologist, so using diversity management processes are especially important for what the soft skills, which Costas talked about before. A good leader, a good coordinator, good management is based on soft skills. You have to have communication, inclusion, flexibility, transparency, shared responsibility. You have to make sure that each institution has the internal capacity to do what they have to do. You have to take into account the risk factors based on diversity and have a plan to overcome them. And you have to be culturally sensitive, which a lot of what Costa said in the previous talk really relates to all of these things. But then you mustn't forget the basic management processes. You have to have a work plan. You have to have times. You have to have a collaborative approach. You have to have a good website for joint work, for uploading reports, for dissemination. And so even though you have all the soft skills that you're doing, there's still, you have to manage. And one of the ways that you manage is by having a structure. I found that most projects have one contact person for each institution. You have a leader for the working groups. These people have to give periodic reports. You disperse the leadership roles among the different institutions, so everybody feels that they're a part and have responsibility. I found in terms of the working teams that they can't be too small, but they shouldn't be too big. So you have to have a right amount of numbers, and I think 5 is a minimum, and like maybe 8 or 9 as the maximum. Depends the type of project that you've had. I've usually done curriculum reform programs, so our working teams created courses together. So each course had a working team, and they had between 5 to 8 members, and and you had a leader, and they had and they worked together. But it's important that the working teams are reasonable in size. You have to have a website. It's for it's our brand, your tag, your focus. Can be for dissemination and secured work. My websites for my projects always had two areas: a public area for dissemination and a private secure area for joint work, and even a secure area within the secure area for financial reports and documents and so forth. There are challenges because not everybody has the same technological competencies. So with the website, you have to make sure that everybody knows how to use it. And not everybody feels comfortable working in a secured area of a website, and further work on other platforms such as Google Docs, such as Good Docs, should be Google Docs, Dropboxes, Teams, whatever. So that's always a challenge, is the differences in the technological abilities of your team. And often we had one of our websites, the website developer kept on adding these new features, and then people didn't know what to do with these new features. So sometimes I believe in the whole process of keeping it simple, so people can use it and they don't feel overwhelmed with it. And also another major challenge with these sort of programs is that people come and go. If you're in an Erasmus program, it's a 3-year program. Well, some people decide to change places of work. So there's always the challenge of somebody leaves, somebody has to come in. Somebody coming in, you have to sort of bring them up to date, what the project is about, what are the responsibilities of their institutions. It's always like they have to come into a team that's already working. So they have to sort of understand the culture and not expect the whole team to sort of try something new because they're coming in. It's a challenge that all these programs have that you should be aware of. Now, in terms of implementation of the program, you've developed it, you designed it, now you have to run it. It's important to keep meetings with key stakeholders to ensure that they understand their obligations. You have to train the faculty to use these programs. You have to be flexible to deal with changes that need to be done because of the realities of exploiting or implementing the programs that you didn't consider when you were developing it. And the job of the coordinator is to make sure he's available or she's available to meet all these issues and to intervene. I had some problems with an institution that people said, Rhonda, we're not getting money. We haven't been reimbursed for our travel. And with my financial coordinator, we visited that college, and we more or less said, these are people that represent your college, and you have to pay them. In other words, sometimes you have to intervene because you don't want to lose the motivation of good people that are working for you. So I've met with more than one president and rector or financial manager of different colleges in Israel and beyond, and sort of to make sure that they are supporting our program. And if I go abroad, sometimes I bring a nice little gift from Gordon, and that sort of warms them up. But there's all these important things that go a long way if you do it right. Every project needs to be assessed and quality assurance. But one of the things that's really important, and I'm saying this from experience, quality assurance processes need to serve the program and not the opposite. It's to make the program better. It's to make sure that we're doing it right. But I was in one project that the quality assurance team was having us do all this work before we could even start implementing. I said, we're working for you and not working for the project. So you have to have the balance of what is the purpose of your assessment in the quality assurance process and to make sure that it serves the project. So you have to choose the team carefully, develop evaluation tools that are easy to use, that are exactly what you need. This is not research if you're dealing with Erasmus programs, it's to assess the program. In my opinion, there should be never a need for word-for-word transcriptions of interviews for Erasmus programs. It takes up a lot of time that you don't get paid for because the budget is limited. So you have to understand what's the purpose of the assessment and to keep it simple and not to make demands that take away from the project. And you should always use a combination of methods, qualitative and quantitative, little narratives, little statements from people who benefited from the program say much more than a statistic that said something, in my opinion. And you should always make sure that the assessment team can do what they have to do and have enough time to do it because it's a big job. It's a responsible job. For Erasmus programs and other programs, often it's not enough just to do it for your institution or for the people participating. You have to disseminate beyond the program. So, and the whole dissemination process belongs to everybody. And so you have to empower every consortium member to disseminate the program within their institution and beyond. And also encourage new programs that can spin off from what you're doing, as Kostas gave us a few examples. Financial management, I'm not going to say too much about that. I'm checking the time because I want to leave time for
you have 7 minutes, Rhonda. You are
okay. So I want to forget financial management. Okay, I'll
no need for that.
No need. But I do want to share a 3-minute video clip that reflects, which is a result of my first project. Whenever I'm depressed, I look at this video clip and say, yes, my life has had meaning.
Make sure that you also share with the sound on. Do you have, when you click share screen, did you tick share sound? Just making
sure. Okay, let me just escape again. Stop share. I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, when you share screen,
share screen.
Share sound.
It says share sound. Oh, you're so great. Okay, optimize video clip.
No, just share sound. That's enough. Okay.
Okay. So this is done. This video clip is a 3-minute clip made by our early childhood education students that are considered, like, out of all of our students, early childhood education, people don't give them enough credit, even though I do. But this is from the Do It project that promoted diversity and children's rights. And I'll end with this and let you ask questions.
אתה לבן, אני שחור, אני חשוך, אתה באור שמחמם כמו אמא ושדואג לך. אתה קטן, אני גדול, אני רוצה, אתה יכול לרקוד, לצעוד קדימה, להיות שלם בין אנשים. ואולי יבוא יום ונהפוך שווים, אתה תהיה לי נחל ואני לך ימים, ונזרום ביחד עד אין סוף, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע. אני בוכה, אתה צועק, אני טועה, אתה צודק, זאת ההצגה שלנו, ואין קהל ואין במה, אולי נשב ננוע, אתה אני וגם תחלוף הרוח, ויעברו כל השנים, ואולי יבוא יום ונהפוך שווים, אתה תהיה לי נחל ואני לך ימין, ונזרום ביחד עד אין סוף, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע, ואולי יבוא יום ונהפוך שווים, אתה תהיה לי נחל ואני לך ימין, ונזרום ביחד עד אין סוף, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע. ונהפוך שווים, אתה תהיה לי נחל ואני לך ימין, ונזרום ביחד עד אין סוף, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע, שנייה לפני שקו החוף מגיע.
Couldn't hear you, Rhonda, but it was really, really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing this.
And, and so great things can happen when you engage students, faculty in these programs. And if you have any questions, I have a few minutes to answer, right?
We have 2 minutes before our
2 minutes.
break.
Okay. Oh, it's a break. So people want to, I'll hang around. So if people want to
Comments, questions, whatever, because I always have many, but I would allow you to say something.
I have a question. Rhonda, you talked about having to make that culture of being involved in this, in internationalization, part of the institution's culture. How have you convinced other faculty members to take part when the pressure and the messages that they're getting is research, research, research?
This is why you need the key stakeholders that have to say international involvement is important. It's a part of your professional development. And when you have the support of and it's good for your college, it's not only good for the program. Having academic faculty and our students engaged in international programs is good for our college. As Yelena said, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, Gordon College was this like little teaching college. We're leaders now. We're recognized in Israel as being we are the leading teaching college in Israel in terms of international engagement. We're recognized internationally. And now people are always coming to me and Gordon saying, Ron, did you have an interesting project for me? Now we've sort of set the precedent. And with the success, first you're a partner in you should first be a partner program. If you're in a successful program, then it's sort of contagious. People realize you get something, you benefit from. But you need, if the key stakeholders say, well, what does this give our students? Just takes away from your research. If they don't say, hey, this is important for our professional development. Each institution is not lives in a global world. The information is global, and we have to be a part of that. And so it has to come from the top leadership. Top leadership.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Rhonda. I can't agree more. And the first example of actually involving them in person to be part of the project, to go to those kickoff meetings, to organize meetings and be actually actively involved, maybe is also a way to that path. And of course, it's a very valid question and interesting one. We are going to maybe have a break. I just wanted to finish, first of all, by just quoting you at some point in your presentation. You mentioned that sharing ideas and not being afraid that others may steal your ideas is actually the key, like the golden advice, I would say. Because and I really love your sentence that if someone can steal my idea and do better, then we do not deserve having the project. So this is a really competitive attitude, and also your final message with the beautiful video and how impactful these projects can be, hopefully is a message to everyone here. I guess people here in this session are interested in initiating and building international projects. So I hope you got inspired, and I hope you will all have a series of videos like this to share with the future audiences.
And I'm always willing to sort of help people and to share with them my experience and to guide. So feel free to contact me. I'll give my email address again here, so you can write to me. And
yeah, and I will also remind everyone where we can find your information on the website of this conference, of the follow-up networking event. We are going to have a very short virtual lunch break because we started already a couple of hours ago, and we need people to refresh from the screen and come back in about 25 minutes, right? We have about 23 minutes for the break now to continue with the next session with two parallel workshops. One on networking on LinkedIn, run by Florida International University, and another workshop is going to be in this same room as we are now, in the same Zoom link, run by Uni Collaboration, Managing Director, and myself. So I hope you will join us after the lunch break. Thank you very much. Have a nice rest of your day. See you soon.
so we go out of this link, right? And
You
then we
can
have.
either stay here and then come back after the lunch break, or just follow the program. Let me share the link to the program again, where you can just click on join and decide which session you want to go directly from the link. So let me just share this again. This is in the chat now for everyone. Okay, so once you click on it, you will have the choice of where you want to go next. Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We have some guests from France, from the United States. So thank you so much.
I have a dear friend from Georgia here who was in a couple of my projects. Galuko, hi. Nice to see them.
Okay, take care. See you soon.